here's the formula list if you've not already got it. If you want to take a screenshot, fire in. Let's see our first question. Bear in mind, paper 2, so you can use calculator. Right, the number of visitors to a zoo in 2024 was 118,750. The number of visitors is expected to increase by 4% each year over the next 2 years. Calculate the expected number of visitors in 2026. So a wee appreciation, depreciation to start is, we know it's appreciation, depreciation because it's 3 or more numbers. So we've got this 118,750, we've got the 4% and we've got the 2 years. So it has to be that. What we need to do first, find our multiplier, 100, but it's increasing by 4%, so add 4 divided by 100. You stick that in a calculator, or you can do it in your head. It's going to get you 1.04. Now we just bring it all together. So we've got 118,750 times by 1.04, and that's to the power of 2 years. So put it to the power of 2. Now all that's left is to stick that in our calculator. So I'm going to go ahead, use my calculator and stick that in. Times 1.04 squared. And I ended up getting 128,440 people. Question number 2, we've got a wee volume question. So a shop sells footballs in the shape of a sphere with a diameter of 21 centimetres. Calculate the volume of the football, give your answer to 3 significant figures. Right, and go to your formula sheet. We've got the volume of the sphere right there. So volume equals 4 over 3 pi r cubed. I'm going to write that in. Volume equals 4 over 3 pi r cubed. So our radius here, remember the radius is half of the diameter, so the diameter is 21 but the radius is half of that. So we're just going to sub in everything we know. So we get 4 over 3 times by pi times by 10.5 cubed. Stick that again back in your calculator, and I got out 4,849. It wants it correct to 3 significant figures, so our final answer will be 4,850, and that's to 3 significant figures, sorry. Also, we mustn't forget our units there as well, so centimetres cubed. Question number 3. The mass of one atom of gold is 3.27 times 10 to the power of negative 22 grams. The mass of one atom of carbon is 6.1% of the mass of an atom of gold. Calculate the mass of one atom of carbon. Give your answer in scientific notation. First things first with this question, I'm going to highlight the numbers that we've been given. So one atom of gold is 3.27 times 10 to the power of negative 22. One atom of carbon is 6.1% of the mass of an atom of gold. So that means we need to figure out 6.1 divided by 100. Again, we've got a calculator, so we can go ahead and do that. I end up getting a 0.061. With this, we bring this down. We then need to times that by the atom of gold in grams. One atom of gold in grams, which is 3.27 times 10 to the power of negative 22. So 0.061 times 10 times by 3.27 times 10 to negative 22. stick that in a calculator, and that ended up getting me out 1.99 times 10 to the power of negative 23. Easy days, and that's you done. 2 marks. Question number 4. We've got a mean and the standard deviation. The way I remember mean, I always think, oh, it's mean that they're making you try to find the average. Mean just means the average, so we need to find the average of this. So I'm going to just put M, or mean, I'll just write out mean. Mean, again, got a calculator, so what I got in, 93, add 103, add 99, add 105, add 88, add 1.106, sorry, add 92, and divide that by 7. That will get you 98. So the mean is 98. All I've done is add up all these numbers and divide them by how many there are. Standard deviation, we set up the table like this. On this side we've got x, then we've got x, take away x bar, which is just the mean, and the final column, x, take away x bar squared. So in here, I'm going to write all our numbers out. So 93, 103, 99, 105, 88, 106, and 92. Then we're going to take these away from the mean. So again, use your calculator if need be. Get negative 5 in there. We've got 5 in there. Get negative 1. We've got 1. 1 in there. We've got 7 in here. We have negative 10 in there. 106, take away 98. We have 8 in here. And then finally we have negative 6 down here. As you can see, it does get quite tricky with the way it works out, just visual wise, but it's one of the things, isn't it? So whack that into the final column. Every single number in this final column should be positive. Negative 5 squared gets you 25. 5 squared is 25 also. 1 squared is 1. 7 squared is 49. Negative 10 squared is 100. 8 squared is 64. 6 squared is 36. Now, we're not done yet. We need to go to our formula sheet and find our standard deviation, which is this one in here. So we're going to take that, I'm going to put it into here, and you'll get SD, standard deviation, equals the root of the sum of x take away x bar squared and then divided by n take away 1. So the sum of x take away x bar squared is literally just all these numbers added together. N represents how many numbers there are, so we know that it's 7, and then you take that away for 1. So I'm going to use my calculator here to figure out what that last column is. So on top I got 300, so the root of 300, and that's divided by 6, and that will get us, if you stick that in your calculator, it'll get you 7.07. There you go, that is your standard deviation. For your comments, when we are talking about the mean, we will be talking about the average. So in this example, we'll be saying on average the weights of the rugby players in Scotland are lower, and comparing the standard deviations, we talk about variation or consistency. So the weights of, in this context, the weights of the rugby players in Scotland are more varied. You know that by the lower number. So whichever one's lower is more varied. Question number 5. So this one is, we are trying to make this equation here in the form of this there. How we do this? So I'm going to just write out what I see again. So x squared, add 10x, add 19. Then going to whack brackets round their x's. So it's going to be bracket x squared, add 10x, close the bracket, add 19. Now notice how our one doesn't have the square on the outside of the bracket, but this one does. That's what we need to do now. So we're going to take out the squared. So we're going to have x, we're going to half this number in here. So we're going to have x add 5, and then the squared is on the outside. We're going to add 19, and then we'll take away whatever number in here squared. So 5 squared is 25, so we're going to take that away. And now we will collect our like terms. So x add 5 squared, and then 19 take away 25, that will get you negative 6. Question number 6. So we've got arcs and sectors. Remember, arcs and sectors formulas aren't in the formula sheet, so you need to learn them off by heart. The area of a sector, so I'll put the area here, equals theta, which just means angle, over 360 times pi r squared times pi r squared in there. And then we'll just sub in everything that we can see here. So we've got our angle in there, and we've got a radius in there. So 170 over 360 times by pi times by 15 squared. Easy days. Now, whack out the calculator. So we get 170 divided by 360 times by pi times by 15 squared. And that got me out 333.79. Remember, it's an area and it's talking about centimetres, so centimetres squared in there. Okay, so question 7. We angles question. We're trying to find the angle FEA. So F to E to A. So essentially the angle in here. So the angle that we are trying to find is this one right here. I know that in a full turn you get 360 degrees. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So if we divide 360 by 5, that's going to give us the angles in here is 72 degrees. Yes, you can put it all the way around, but we're only needing to work in here. So I'm going to put 72 degrees in here. So I need to figure out these two angles in here, how I'm going to do that. I know that angles in a triangle add up to 180. So I'm going to do 180, take away 72. That'll get me out 108. We need to divide that answer by 2. So 108 divided by 2 is 54 degrees. And because of symmetry, this must mean that that's also 54 degrees in here as well. Now, knowing this, we can figure out the angle in here. So all we need to do is 180 take away 108, and that will get us 72 So that must mean that in here we've got 72 degrees. Finally, angles again in a triangle add up to 180. So we need to do 65 add 72. So for 65 add 72. So that'll get us 137. Now 180, take away 137. And that'll get us 43 degrees. So in here, we've got 43 degrees, which is our answer. So therefore angle F E A is, looks like I've put T, no Santa T this time. FEA is equal to 43 degrees. Question number 8. So question number 8, we've got a vector question. So we're trying to find the coordinates of M. M is away up here. I'm going to highlight that so we know where we're going. We're going to use the existing vectors to help us figure that out. So R, to get to R we need to go along 4. To go back to the same line as M, we need to go back 3. So we've gone back 3, now we're at Q. And to get up to M we need to go up by 12. So that must mean that our coordinates are 4, 3 and 12. For part B, we are essentially trying to find O to M. So O to M, that kind of diagonal across the box there. To do that, all we need to do is the square root of 4 squared add 3 squared add 12 squared. Stick that in your calculator and you will get out 13. So that means that the length must be 13. So question number 9, we've got changing the subject to the formula. So we're trying to change the subject to the formula to K. So we're going to do everything furthest away from K first. So we've got B equals 1 over 4 KC squared take away 3C. First I'm going to times by 4 to get rid of that quarter. So I'm going to be left with 4B equals C squared take away KC squared I should say, take away 3C. I'm then going to add on the 3C to get rid of that. Add 3C, we'll be left with 4B add 3C, which equals KC squared. Then going to divide by the C squared. So now we'll have 4B add 3C divided by C squared, and that equals K, which is what we are looking for. Question number 10, we've got a simultaneous equations question. So on Bob's lorry there are 7 stacks of paving slabs and 3 stacks of edging blocks. The total weight of these stacks is 2,400 kilos. Blah 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 blah. Basically write that. So I'm going to write 7P at 3E, and that's going to equal 2,400 kilograms. For B, we've got 3P add 4E, and that equals 1,300. So how we do this? We're going to write out both of the equations again, just so it's nice and neat. 7p add 3e, which equals 2,400. And then 3p add 4e, which equals 1,300. I always do the middle numbers, so we're going to get these middle numbers to the same. So the lowest common multiple is 12. So 3 times 4, that'll get you 12. 4 times 3, that'll get you to 12. So we times everything by that. So 7 times 4 is 28. P, add 12e. And then that equals 9,600. The line below, we've got 9p, add 12e. This one equals 3,900. This part is important. If we have the same signs, two additions or two subtractions, we're going to subtract. So same signs, subtract. Same signs, subtract. So we're going to do 28 take away 9. That's going to get us 19p. 9,600 take away 3,900. I'm going to use my calculator. That will get us 5,700. To figure out what p is, we divide by 19. Therefore, p is 300. Now, to figure out what the value of e is, we're going to sub this information into one of these two. Make sure you pick the easier one. No point giving yourself harder work. So I'm going to pick 3p add 4e equals 1,300. I'm going to then sub p in for this. So sub in 300. So 300 add 4e equals 1,300. 3 times 300 will get you 900. Add 4e equals 1,300. Run out of space here, so I'm just going to drag it up here. I'm going to subtract the 900 here, so I've got 4e equals 400, and then divide that by 4. So e is 100. Once again, we're not done yet. It's 4-mark question, so I'm going to highlight our answers. So we've got e is 100 and p is 300. We need to figure out what Beth's lorry is going to weigh. So she's got... I'm going to get rid of some of this working here so that we can keep writing. So Beth has 6p, add 5e. We don't know what it equals yet, so we're going to figure it out. Sub in for p, 300. Add 5e, e is 100. So now 6 times 3 is 1,800. or 6 times 300 I should say, add the 500 here. So that means that Beth's lorry was carrying 2,300 kilos. And that is our final answer. Wee bit of similarity here, question 11. First things first, we need to find our scale factor. So how we do that is we get 31.5 divided by 14. We type that in the calculator. That's 2.25. We're then going to square that number and times it by 24 in here. That's going to get us out. That's going to get us out an answer of 121.5 centimeters squared. So for question 12, we've got a wee bit of bearings. I'm going to use the sine rule for this one. So if you go back to your formula sheet, you can see the sine rule in here. I'm going to use that. So going back to the question, we have A over sine A equals B over sine B. Now we're going to look here. I need to figure out this angle first, and our job is to try and figure out the angle that is in here. So the angle on C, so ACB. The angle in here we can figure out because in here is 90 degrees, so it must be 131 take away 90. One 131 take away 90 is 41 degrees. So that must mean that in here it's 41 degrees. Now we can go ahead and use the sine rule. So this angle goes with the 200. This length goes with our missing angle. So I'm going to sub in here. So we've got 200 over sine 41 and then 250 divided by sine x. I'm going to cross multiply. So we'll have 200 sine x. So we've got 200 sine x, and that equals 250 sine 41. Then going to get rid of the 200, so we've got sine x equals 250 sine 41, and that's divided by the 200. We're going to stick that in a calculator. So we've got 250 sine 41 over 200, and that gets us, I just keep going in here, sine x equals 0.82. Of course, that can't be an angle, so we're going to have to do a sine inverse. So sine -1, 0.82. And this is going to get us 55.1 degrees. Now we know that in here we've got 55.1. We are trying to find this angle essentially. We know that in here is 90. We know that in here, well, in here is going to be 55 add 41, 96. Take that away from 180. In here is 84. So that means that 90 add 84, which is 174. I'm going to take that away from 360. And that's going to be 186 degrees, which is our final answer. Question number 13. We need to get the same denominators and change that one to what it is. So the common factor between 2 and 3 is 6. So we are going to times this by 6, times that by 3, sorry. Times this by 2. And times that by 6. So now we're going to have over 6 equals over 6. Add 6. We need to then times the tops by what we times the denominators by. So 4x times 2 is going to get us 8x. And we'll have 3 bracket 5x add 1. Working from here, we can get rid of those denominators. So we're left with 5x add 1 equals 8x add 6. Break out these brackets. We've got 15x add 3 equals 8x add 6. I'm then going to make sure my x's are positive, so take away 8x, which will leave us with 7x add 3 equals 6. Then going to get rid of the 3, so I'm going to take away 3. 7x equals 3. I'm going to divide by 7. So x equals 3 over 7. Question 14. In my opinion, hardest question in the paper. So it's telling us the height is 13 metres. So we can add that in. So we've got 13 equals 10. Take away 8 cos x. I'm going to try and get cos x on its own, so I'm going to take away 10. So we'll have 3 equals negative 8 cos x. Then going to divide by negative 8. So 3 divided by negative 8 is cos x, which is what we're looking for. We now need to get cos inverse of that. So cos inverse (3 over negative 8). This gets us 6, 7, which will round to 68. Now, using our cast diagram, I'm going to do it in here. A, S, T, C. whether it's always support the Celtic, always support the Chelsea, whoever it may be, however you remember that, that's how you do it. Bear in mind, our cos was negative this time, so we're going to do the opposites. We've got sine and tan, so 180 plus x, 180 take away x. So 180 take away x is going to get us 112. Then 180 plus x is going to get us 248. Therefore, our two answers are 102 and 248.